Guys, Michael Edward here with True Trading Group. December 12th, another green day, adding on top of my big day yesterday. Made just over $8,000 yesterday, and I added to that today. But this video lesson and today's lesson, the takeaway from today, is about how to identify strong volume. Okay. Today and tomorrow we have there's Fed meetings going on. So usually when we have Fed meetings, the market's a little bit slow. There's a little bit less volume, a little bit less momentum, and less continuation. So I came on pre-market when I talk about my game plan in the morning in chat, and I told everyone, guys, just be careful today because I don't expect the same kind of momentum and follow through like we saw yesterday or last week. We had a big week last week. And I said to just be careful not to do anything to give away all the gains that we worked so hard for yesterday, especially since I expect a bit of a slower day with the Fed meetings. With that being said, we saw no follow through today, really in any stocks that we were looking at. And it was all about taking profits quickly when you were up and recognizing weak volume. Okay, because in order to get continuation, in order to get follow through, you need strong volume. And strong volume does not just mean an increase in volume. There's more to analyzing volume than just that. Okay, so let's get to the charts and we'll talk about this PTI. My first trade of the day. There's actually another lesson I want to talk about with PTI. So there's two lessons to learn from PTI, and so it's good we'll start with this one first. Let me pan this out so you can see a little. I can zoom in, you can see things a little bit more clear. Okay, here's your PTI. All right. There we go. PTI gapped up big, okay, guys, on a news catalyst, and gapped up and then pushed and put in an initial high right here of 615. Here's your high of the day, 615 right here. Okay. Then the stock pulls in and starts to hold support at that initial morning low. This is a setup I want you to start looking for because it's a high percentage pattern. It's a trade setup that I go after often. Okay, when a stock gaps up and gives you an initial morning low right here by this green arrow, pushes, makes a new high, and then pulls in and finds support at that initial morning low, you can look to get long that PTI as the stock breaks above the VWAP. Typically, if you're going to get a strong move in the stock after it bounces off this double bottom support, you're going to see an increase in volume as the stock breaks above VWAP and pushes to at least retest the high of the day. Okay, then if you get real strong volume, you'll get a break of the high, and then you'll get that follow-through continuation. With PTI, I missed my entry as it broke back above this VWAP because the volume bar right here, this bar right here, when it broke above VWAP, let's look down at the volume, was still very, very low. So I never pulled the trigger. The stock ended up running away from me and putting in a new high of 660. Okay? So we got that increase in volume. Oh, let me delete that. That didn't come out. All right. So we got that increase in volume as the stock broke the high of the day. And you can take a line and draw a line right across that initial morning high. Okay, after it broke it to the upside on an increase in volume, you see that then held support. Once that held support, I got long at $6.07 right here. Okay, now this is where the lesson on volume comes in, and where the lesson on analyzing strength in volume comes in. When you see a stock break the high of the day like this on an increase in volume, it's okay to see a slowdown in volume as the stock pulls in to retest that area. But once it bounces off that support level and turns the corner, you want to see volume pick back up. And the volume never picked back up in PTI. In fact, it slowed down. Okay, I took profits at 662 was the top end of my take profit on this PTI, guys, for a 9% gain. I took some profit earlier, even before that, for a 5% gain. And it's because I was not seeing that consistent volume. I wasn't seeing that strong volume that a stock needs to give you continuation. Now, having it already be my game plan that I expect a slower day with less volume and less continuation, I'm going to be quicker to take those profits after I see that I'm not getting that follow-through volume and that strong volume. Okay, so like I said, after it breaks the high, retests, and turns a corner and starts to bounce off, you want to see volume pick back up again, and it did not pick back up. It actually started to slow down. Okay, and now as I pan out, you can see the stock then ended up pulling all the way back into this support level and eventually cracking below it. Okay, and just showing weakness into the end of the day. And the reason for that, guys, is the volume. You see the strong increase in volume right here when it broke the high of the day, but it never came back. The volume just slowed down for the rest of the day, and the stock just kind of was in this lull. Okay, and that's what I mean by not getting that continuation. So by recognizing that the volume was slowing and I wasn't getting that continuation, that strong volume that I like to see, that's why I took my profits. And with the Fed meeting today, I expected a slower day to begin with, and that's why I was able to just lock in those gain, 9% gain. So it's, nothing to write home about, not a monster win, but hey, a win's a win, a gain's a gain, and I made money, and that's my goal as a trader, is to make money. Okay, so I achieved my goal today, and I added on top of what was a big day yesterday, and that was that PTI. Now let me go to another trade that I made today in GLBR, because it's a very similar lesson. Okay, here's GLBR. GLBR, right off the open, held this VWAP support beautifully. This VWAP played a very important role in this GLBR today. Okay, this orange line on my screen is your VWAP. Look at how that VWAP held support. Then at 11:30, when it broke that support right here, you then can see that VWAP started to be resistance. Now you see the stock can't get back above that VWAP. So I noticed that. I recognized that the VWAP was playing an important role in this GLBR today. With that being said, let me go and delete all that so it's a little easier on your eyes. With that being said, the stock was holding up pretty nicely. I mean, if you draw a Fibonacci on this, okay, the stock is still holding above the 50% Fibonacci retracement level on this move. So it still is holding up pretty nicely. It came from 45 cents. It was trading at like 68 at the time when I started looking at it. And I said, guys, if the stock breaks back above VWAP, look for an increase in volume for the stock to push and maybe retest the high of the day. Then if volume is consistent and real strong, you can possibly even get a break through the high of the day and catch a continuation move. I got long this GLBR right here at 72 cents. Okay, then you see the stock break through the VWAP on a nice increase in volume. That's a strong increase in volume. Okay, but you never got that continuation. We got volume for 9 minutes. These are 3-minute candles. That's 9 minutes of volume. And then look, where did the volume go? The volume never came back in. You got a spike in volume, but it wasn't consistent. It spiked and then very quickly faded. That's what I mean about weak volume. So yes, it was an increase in volume. Great, good sign. But it was weak volume in the sense that it wasn't consistent. The volume slowed down very quickly. I took profits at 80 cents for an 11% gain that I bought in at 72. But I was still holding on to a chunk of the position. I ended up getting flat at 68 cents right here when the stock broke below that VWAP for a minus 6% loss on that piece of the trade. So I was still net positive 5% on the trade. But what I want you to take away from this trade is that volume slowing down the way that it did, you then see the stock pull back in to retest that VWAP, and it started to bounce off of it, and the volume never came back. And that's why you saw the stock break back below that VWAP and then just kind of trade sideways into the close. Okay, but if we started to see the volume do this, and this is the volume that you were looking at, that would give you a stock that would run back up to retest the high of the day. And if that volume started to get real strong and consistent like this, then you're looking at a break of the high of the day. And we never got that follow through and that consistent volume. Okay, and that's why I took profits quickly. That's why I took profits at 80 cents, which thank God I took the profits at 80 cents for 11%. Otherwise, I would have been negative on the trade. Okay, so I ended up being net positive on the trade. And it's because I'm able to recognize that the volume was not consistent. Okay, the volume slowed down after you got that initial surge. And it goes back to, again, what I talked about in the pre-market game plan about expecting a slower day. Every day is not the same. Just like every stock is not the same, every trade is not the same, every trade carries a different level of risk. Every day, you should not trade every day exactly the same because every day has a different attitude. Okay? There's days when you need to push, when you're getting follow through, there's a lot of momentum in the market and there's a lot of action. And there's days when sometimes the best trade is no trade at all. Or maybe you need to scale back your position size, be tighter with your stop loss, take profits sooner. And on days where you have something like a Fed meeting that typically slows down the market a little bit, that's when you need to be prepared for that and take smaller position sizes on days like today. Take profits quicker on days like today because the chances of catching follow through and getting that second, even third leg in a move becomes a lot smaller. Okay, and being able to recognize those days and knowing when to take it from fifth or sixth gear, drop it down to first or second, maybe even put it in neutral, hell, pull up the e-brake. Okay, there's nothing wrong with not trading. Now, I traded today. I went after a couple of setups. I ended up net positive green on the day. So there were opportunities, there were good setups, and there's setups that I'll go after again if I see them tomorrow because they're high percentage setups, and I'm still able to make profit on the day. But if I did not change my style, if I used the same strategy that I was using yesterday where I was taking larger position size and we were catching follow through where we caught a 34% move in a trade yesterday, I would not have come out of the day positive. Okay? And that's what I want you to take away from today, December 12th. It's recognizing those slower days, recognizing the difference between strong volume and an increase in volume. And there's a difference. And that's what I want you to take away from today. See you guys in chat tomorrow.